Well, good morning, everyone. Happy week 4. I hope you are doing well. I look a little crazy today. I took a tumble over spring break, and yeah. Ow! Ow! You're probably going to stop showing us that, Professor Wood. But you will get a kick out of this knowing me and knowing a little bit about my personality. In the fall, I started physical therapy. I was having problems with my leg that I've injured numerous times. And because it was hurting me, I stopped doing things. And then, of course, the muscles atrophied from me not doing enough. I found out when I went to the specialist. And so I started physical therapy. So I've been training with this young person to me. I think he's probably 40. Very good physical therapist and personal trainer. And I've been boxing twice a week. And I have to tell you, I love boxing a lot. And so it's been fun to box. So this week he was teaching me reactive boxing, where he had pads and then he'd move them around and pretend he was gonna box me back and then not, and those types of things. And it's to help you to be, more reactive and a better boxer. And I got a little full of myself. Got a little full of myself. And was pretending I was like Muhammad Ali, and I did like a step, step, step punch and caught my shoe on the floor and just did one of those where you just start tumbling like this, like all the way across the floor. And my head was just carrying me and I couldn't stop myself. It was just a train barreling down the track. And I went all the way across the room and fell into the treadmill. Luckily, nobody was on it and it was not on, but I fell into the treadmill. And my poor physical therapist, his face, seeing this older person to him, he's like, no. And when I first got up, I thought I broke my arm. I really thought I broke my arm. It was numb. And then I realized it was not broken. Anybody in here that's broken something before, usually when you break it, it goes numb first. You don't feel anything. And so I was really worried about that. But it was fine. I went home and I iced it a bunch. Iced my leg. I hit my leg and my hip, but it's not bruised. And my arm took the brunt of it, and then took Tylenol and went back and did my physical therapy today. Boxed a little bit. I couldn't really punch with my right arm because the bruise was too much. But uh, and that's grit. I'm embarrassed. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to go back. Felt old for a minute. I felt sad that I felt old for a minute. And then I thought, you know what? You get up and you try again. And it's a great story to share with my alumni students and my family that, try again. And so I tried again and I did great today. And I learned not to play around until I'm ready, until I'm a little bit stronger to play around. But I felt really good when I left today. And so there was a lot of things that I was going to talk about this week, but there's a new article that came out, and I've added it to the class because it's very important and it's very timely. And for those of you that have the New York Times, you may have already looked at it. I mean, it just came out this morning, and I was fascinated by it and incredibly distraught by it. And it's on the crisis of absenteeism in schools in America, and how it's affecting our country, how it's affecting our community, how it's affecting our students, how since prior to the pandemic and now because of the pandemic, many people are seeing school as optional. There's also been a problem as a tech person, and I know there's a lot of tech people in here. The digital is now becoming an issue because parents and students can access all of the work, a lot of times instructor videos, those types of things, just like we have here at Concordia. So they have the work and they do the work instead of coming to class. Now, when the pandemic happened and I was teaching, my alumni students, had a lot of opinions about the pandemic, like schools staying out too long and schools opening too early and those types of things. And they found in this that it's comparable, whether they went back sooner or whether they went back later, and that's not all of it. Um, what was interesting though is during the pandemic, one of my dear friends, uh, a doctor of educational leadership, she actually works in Alabama with students that have been previously incarcerated, or students that are young teen moms and working and are not going to school, gang members, things like that, people with a lot of chronic absenteeism. And what she saw in the research, and she did her doctoral work on it, is these students who were already chronically absent actually excelled during the pandemic, because they were able to access things during the pandemic that they hadn't been able to access before the pandemic. So if childcare was an issue, a parent could access the information or talk to the teacher over Zoom and therefore excel. If students had jobs where they were providing for their family, this is a very poor area of Alabama that she works out of, and a lot of family members are working. They could work around the schedule, and they could still access things. So she saw that absenteeism actually diminished when these students could be online and that they excelled. But what we've seen is most students have not done well during the pandemic. And so we do see that they have fallen behind. I think the other thing that we have to remember when we're talking about character and ethics is falling behind based on whose rule, whose arbitrary line. So we have to look at, okay, if, say, students have fallen behind by 3.6 months, what can we do immediately to support these children and also catch them up? Is it night school? Is it tutoring? Is it before school? Is it making sure that they have what they need to get to school? Is it summer school? Is it summer school with enrichment? So summer school is not this big drag. How are we talking to them? How are we approaching? How are we building community? And so I think you'll find this article fascinating. Now, no, I've PDF'd it for you from the New York Times, because some of you might not have a subscription to the New York Times. But know that if you do decide to delve into the links that are attached to it, it will be attached to the New York Times. And I think you get like 3 articles free a month with the New York Times. But, if there's something that you want me to share with you as a gift, I can. But I want you to look at this article, and I want you to look at the graph, because this has a lot to do with character and ethics, and how are we going to get over this school is optional thing and build community and bring students back to the classroom. And what things might we have to change, like in digital accountability? Have we made it too easy to access classwork without instructor supervision or teaching? This is just food for thought. I just found it very interesting, and I knew immediately that I was going to add it to the course. So look at that and see what you think about it during week 4. You're also going to be reading Toward the Science of Character Education, Frameworks for Identifying and Implementing Effective Practices, Searching for Character and the Role of Schools. I want you to look at that related to the article, the New York Times article. And then I just want you to browse peacebuilders.com and kind of get an idea of that website. Remember that you are going to be working on your group projects. So your next assignment, of course, as you know, is adoption and implementation of a character education program, professional development to the faculty. It's due on or before 11:59 p.m. on April 7th. So remember, if you're watching this video now on spring break and you're getting a jump start, you have until April 7th with your group. However, having said that, groups should have already made contact, really, because I posted groups on March 18th and I let you know about it. So if you haven't heard from your group members, please contact me, ASP, and I will check in with them. And I've already contacted both groups. We had 2 students that withdrew from the class very early on. So I let those groups know what is going on. Okay. And so you're going to be working as a team on your assignment number 2. And if you read over the directions, it says that you're going to consider the needs of a school site you are familiar with, or one that is hypothetical. Uh, but maybe the groups, you can figure out something talking to each other about your own school sites. In relation to character education, consider the following essential questions. What are some school-wide needs when narrowed? What is one need you hope to address? What data or evidence supports the existence of the need, i.e. suspension rates, discipline issues, parent surveys? Plan a 1-hour professional development. So you're going to go over that criteria. I won't read it all to you. And then in your plan, you're going to include specific things like description of proposed character education program or plan and scholarly evidence to support the plan, goals, objectives of proposed plan, ways to harness and maximize the efforts and resources of the community, site, and family stakeholders. Really think about how you are going to build community with this, and the audience should get a strong sense of the value of partnerships in this current effort. And when you think of partnerships, think of all stakeholders, parents, support staff, teachers, admin, district personnel, community personnel, students, siblings, older siblings that have been involved in the school. How are you going to bring everybody in? What can you do to bring everybody in and make it so that school is not optional, and that character building and implementation of something with that is a community effort? Okay. All group projects need to maintain consistency, and you'll note that you have 2 or 3 students per group. And you're going to prepare a Google slideshow or other visual presentation for this assignment, 18 to 20 slides. Use a voiceover tool or video of your choice to present and elaborate on your ideas. I've put an example to see how to do it using PowerPoint, but you can choose what you want, whatever the group wants to do. Please include a minimum of 3 scholarly references to support your work. Citations should appear throughout and should be added on the actual slide. And then a references slide should be the last slide of the presentation. Something that I want you to remember as you are going through the Concordia program, moving towards the capstone and possibly the doctoral program, you notice I keep pushing you. Do it. Do it. I want you to do it. Really try to find ways to synthesize, meaning when you are going through your slides and your sources or your paragraph, like on your historic timeline, like it's great that you cite Watts. But if you can find a way to cite Watts and cite Wood and cite Smith and have them all reputable sources saying, hey, this is correct information, that's a big deal in research, and that's going to be a big deal in capstone. So find ways to put multiple sources on one big thought that you're putting in, and say, hey, it's not just me that thinks this, it's Watts, Wood, and that's really good to do that as much as you possibly can, and something that's going to be pushed as you go further into your research. Okay. And then there's a rubric for the assignment. So please reach out if you have any questions. Know that I'm here for you. And be well and have a great week. And I hope you had a wonderful spring break. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.